Hi, I'm Matthew Lights, CEO of RoachClip.com.
And I'm Aaron Evans from the music group The Green Brothers. We're here to ask your opinion on a very important and heavily debated question. We want to know, do you think marijuana should be legalized?
For over 70 years, marijuana has been prohibited from being grown, sold, or used in the United States. Despite being illegal, the usage has not shown any signs of decrease since the 60s. In fact, over 10% of Americans now smoke marijuana, and nearly half of our fellow U.S. citizens have tried the herb at some point in their life. This leads one to ask, do the current marijuana laws even work?
Much like the prohibition of alcohol in the 1920s, when gangsters like Al Capone controlled the underground market and terrorized those who opposed them, the prohibition of marijuana has not come without expenses and social consequences. The truth is that the violence, crime, and death over the illegal trade of marijuana far exceeds that which the mob bosses have caused before the ban on alcohol was lifted and again made legal. Most specifically, our friends in Mexico have felt the effects of the current marijuana laws. There have been over 10,000 deaths because of the drug trade in the last 2 years alone, the overwhelming majority being marijuana related. Drug cartels have profited so much from the illegal drug trade that they have threatened the stability of our neighbors to the south.
Legalization supporters have pointed to those negative social consequences for years, but it's not the damage caused by marijuana laws that make it such a hot topic today. Legalization of marijuana is again in the news headlines because of the large economic opportunities created by the potential legalization of cannabis. A coalition of 500 of the world's leading economists, including Nobel Prize winner Milton Friedman and Harvard professor Jeffrey Myron, came together to analyze the economic implications of legalization. After analyzing the numbers behind pot, they produced what they called the budgetary implications of marijuana prohibition. The results of that study that they conducted was staggering. Every year, there are almost 1 million people arrested for marijuana-related charges. It is estimated by Friedman and by other economists that if cannabis were legalized, state and federal government would save a whopping $7.7 billion in annual spending on enforcement and incarceration. Additionally, they concluded that legalization would create an additional $6.2 billion in annual tax revenues. Combine the potential savings from law enforcement and the potential revenue from taxes, and you are talking about a $13.9 billion swing in our national budget. These are obviously significant figures, but they don't even take into account the multi-billion-dollar hemp industry, which has been incorrectly clumped with the consumable marijuana. Legalization of marijuana could create new tax revenue, but just as importantly, it could also create new jobs. This is especially important in the state of California, where the state deficit has gotten completely out of control. The government estimated that California would receive an additional $1.4 billion in annual tax revenue if cannabis were legalized. That's not bad for a state that in 2009 had to write its citizens IOUs instead of paying them tax returns.
Many opponents of marijuana legalization have strong convictions because of their views on the ethical and social impact of cannabis. While it is now accepted by a good majority of the population that marijuana does have a value as medicine, recreational use is still thought by some as immoral and dangerous. Much of this perspective is likely caused by the many years of negative propaganda and press that pot has received, but some of it is more deeply rooted in certain ideals. Marijuana seems to have been put into a separate category from the rest of nature's plants, causing a portion of our population to be hesitant to adopt laws that allow the herb to be grown. Opponents also maintain an assumption that marijuana is an extremely dangerous substance. Countless studies have been conducted by government agencies and universities trying to prove that marijuana is hazardous to the health of the user. Despite a strong desire to prove that marijuana has some sort of highly destructive effect on the mind and body, study after study has fallen short, showing that marijuana is not nearly as dangerous as the public has been led to believe. Pot does not make you less intelligent, and it does not cause cancer. Overall, it is very clear that cannabis is not destructive, like the synthetically created pharmaceutical drugs that are widely used and accepted. Regardless of your stance on marijuana, it must be recognized that, like anything else, marijuana can indeed have negative side effects when abused and misused. For this reason, legalization legislation such as Proposition 19 in California include guidelines for the safe distribution of the herb, much like the laws that regulate alcohol and tobacco. That said, unlike alcohol and tobacco, which kill almost 500,000 people a year, marijuana has never killed a single person in recorded history.
What is clear is with so much at stake, this is an issue that can no longer be ignored. I know you've heard proponents from both sides of the argument on whether or not we the people should legalize marijuana. And if you're watching this video, you very well may be on the fence. It's time for you, as a living, breathing, voting human being, to take it upon yourself and do the research. It's in your hands now. We've done what we can do, and it's up to you to do what you know is right.
No matter what side you're on, it's important that your voice is heard. Take a minute to cast your vote on the right and let us know how you feel. You can choose to stay anonymous if you wish, or you can also have your opinion shared as a comment to the world and your local representative. We even have some free gifts for taking your time to share. Go ahead and complete the form. We appreciate your participation. Be easy and shine.
Thank you.